Today, old stuff, because it's the future, or the past, or a bit of both, not really sure. But we have got the BSA Golden Flash on the bench at last. If you remember, we rescued this bike, an Aerial 500 Red Hunter, and a BSA V40 military bike from a garage of a guy who's sadly no longer able to look after them, no longer able to ride them. And they were kind of just sat there. It was really sad seeing them sat there in the garage, and our mission was to get them out, bring them back to life. We were never looking to do a restoration, but we wanted to get them back to life and get them running and working motorcycles again. So today, that is the job. We're going to take this BSA Golden Flash and we're going to make it work, which is a really bold claim to start a video with. We're going to see how bold it was at the end. And to help me, I've got my dad, Dave. Dad, you never touched this stuff when you were younger, did you? You went straight to Japanese bikes.
No, I was always led to believe, which a lot of people tell you is true, that they just leaked oil and were unreliable. So I wanted something that I could use every day. But now I'm getting a little bit older and I feel it's time I tried them out, so to say.
We've convinced you.
You've convinced me, yeah. Well, if it runs, you've convinced me.
That's the caveat. So first stop is to whip the fairings off of it. Then we can get to the engine, pull the side covers off, have a little look in there. Then go hunting for a spark. I don't know if we got the spark with it when we picked it up at the garage. Hopefully it came with the bike. We'll find out. But yeah, want to get it running. I've had lots of advice from lots of people, some of it conflicting, some of it not, about what you should and shouldn't do and do's and don'ts. So I'm kind of doing the best of what I've worked out from people who've told me. I'm happy for people to dive into the comments and chuck in your 10 pence worth of what you should think we should be doing, especially whether it's like multigrade oil, non-multigrade oil, whether you should strip it, whether you should just leave it together and run it. Like, there's so much conflict. But what we're going to do is give it a check over, give it a clean up, get some fresh fuel in it, play Hunt the Spark, and make it run. I think first thing is probably to whip the plugs out, which are loose anyway, I believe. There's a spark plug your side. And make sure it actually turns over. The plugs actually look all right. I guess you're going to tell me I need to gap these plugs, aren't you?
Gap them by anyway, be fine.
Go on then.
With my eyes now, yeah, that's fine.
Right, give that Kickstarter push. Let's see if it actually turns over. Okay.
It does turn over, yeah. Nice.
Okay, let's pull fairings off, pull side covers off, make it work. So, being a 60s British bike, there's quite a lot of originally Imperial nuts and bolts on it, and then over the years some metric stuff's been added in places, and so there's a bit of a hodgepodge of metric nuts and bolts, Imperial nuts and bolts, and everything in between. Apparently, we've had a few bolts that we've gone at with a metric spanner that hasn't fitted, an Imperial spanner that hasn't fitted, dug out old Whitworth stuff, and yeah, so there's all one of the challenges of working on one of these is you're just never quite sure what you're getting nuts and bolts wise. And your big stash of nuts and bolts in your house that you normally use for repairing motorbikes is completely useless. So yeah, nice new stock of bits is going to be required. Right, top box removed. And I found the foot peg that is required to hold the silencer on. Ta-da!
To get to...
You say when?
That should do, if it's high enough for you.
That'll do me. Untangle the wires.
I'll disconnect.
Are we ready?
I think so, but it's got, I don't know how it's going to go past the front wheel. Oh, like that.
Like that.
Genius.
Oh my goodness, that looks 1,000 times better. I mean, you can see a bit more of the corrosion on the engine now, but that does look much, much nicer.
Yeah, but it's not rotten, is it? It's,
No,
look,
just
look
needs
at this exhaust. It's still good.
Just needs a polish, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds like your job. Sounds like a job for the next owner.
So, one fairing for your wall.
Right, what's down from 9/16, 8/16, or a half?
1/2 inch.
To do maths and rounding down of fractions. This is why old people are so good at maths. They have to do it every day. Metric, easy, just tens. Someone's going to tell me that imperial's better because it's divided by more things, aren't they now? I can already hear it.
No calculators then.
No calculators then. Abacus.
No
Get your
watches.
abacus to do it on.
No Siri.
No Siri. No Siri. What did you used to do in the olden days, Dad? When you needed to work something out?
Ask somebody.
You asked someone else.
Go to a library.
Go to a what?
Yeah.
Is that like,
You're an engineer, Chris. Where you had the...
is that like Google? Now
right.
I couldn't find... I did have a kick of this when we first brought it back, and I couldn't find the spark, hence all my hilarious gags about looking for the spark. And there was a bit of me that wondered, given the sort of guy we bought it off, if there was a hidden switch somewhere, like a little hidden ignition switch. I've just found one underneath the seat.
Ah.
I wonder if that is some sort of cunning hidden switch to stop
Could
people
be.
stealing his bike. I like that. Feels like a James Bond thing. So this is one of the big discussions I've discovered about old bikes, is the argument of multigrade versus single grade oil. Multigrade is 2050, so it's one viscosity when it's cold, it's a different viscosity when it's hot, which is what all modern oils tend to be. If you've got a lawnmower, quite often you end up with single viscosity oil, single grade oil. Yeah, I've read as many people saying they run multigrade in these things and it's fine, as I have with them saying they run single grade oil and multigrade Wrexham. So I don't know what the actual answer is. For now, all I want to do is get this thing running. So I'm not going to go riding it miles and miles and miles. I'm going to get it running. So I've got a bottle of Motul 2050, which is a nice thick multigrade oil. It's not got loads of detergents. It's a mineral oil, because that's the other issue, is that if you've got an oil with loads of detergents on older engines that don't tend to have a proper like cartridge oil filter like a modern bike, the detergent in modern oils washes all the sludge out of the bits of the engine, and then because there's no oil filter to trap it, that sludge then blocks the oil ways and you end up oil starving important things like bearings, heads, camshafts. So that's the argument against using modern oils in old bikes. This is a mineral multigrade oil from Motul, and again, I'm just going to use it to get the bike running, test it, probably ride it down the road and no further, and then we're going to go through the whole thing, clean all the sludge traps out, and yeah, give it the attention it deserves. But for now, the experiment is, can we make this bike run? 2050 it is. I have found this secret hidden switch, which I think was probably an ignition switch. So we're going to kick it as it was, and then we're going to try turning it the other way and see if it gets a spark. Not a sausage. Come on, be the magic button. Keep going. That didn't magically make it spark.
Action.
Trouble is, I don't actually know what the... Do you wonder if there's anything under this cover?
More hidden switches.
There is a switch.
Ah, right. Let's give it another go.
It's another switch. Hold on. Come on then. Yeah, there's a spark. Right, okay, so we are pouring fuel out of our fuel tap, but we've got fuel in the carb, so we're going to have a go at getting it running. Smells flooded.
Flooding the other side, Chris. It's coming out the other side as well.
That's a choke, I think, on there. So I've put the choke on the full, get just over compression, and then give it a...
a lot of petrol going everywhere. Can I get rid of this petrol? Ooh. Sounding good.
Lost to a garage, getting covered in damp. 10, 15 years, lost to a garage, covered in damp, on its way to being a sad pile of rusty bits.
It even ticks over. Yeah, it's ticking over.
That is ticking over.
Yeah.
Choke off. You beauty. That is still one of the best feelings in life, is bringing something that's dead out of a shed and getting it back to life. Right, I think we need to sort these leaky fuel taps and go for a ride. Fabulous.
Couple of fuel taps, check the oil level again, give it a run up the road.
That is a seriously big fairing bracket. Nice. It's nice to see one thing didn't change from the 60s to the 90s, is we take all this wiring and then we jam it in a headlight bulb that doesn't quite fit and hope for the best. So, we have got a nice looking bike. Sadly, my father, Assistant Dave, has had to chip off and do some actual work, not muck around with motorbikes. So he'll be back later. But we've got all the brackets off, we've got all the frames off, sorted the headlight out, tucked the wiring. The wiring needs dealing with in the future, but just tucked it out of the way for now. Rear rack off, tank actually bolted on, fresh fuel taps on the tank because they were pouring fuel out. Hopefully that now means we can give it a go. I'm gonna keep an eye on this oil leak out of the primary drive casing. But yeah, I'm gonna go and stick some bike kit on, give it another fire up and go for a ride. 90% of what I'm thinking about now is to remember to use my left foot to slow it down and my right foot to change gear, and that the gearbox is one up, then the rest down. I don't know how many gears it's got yet. And the front brake does have a lever and it does move. Doesn't do a great amount of stopping. So you've got to remember to use that back brake. But it feels lovely, that engine. May have pressed the back brake instead of changing gear. In fact, I did both at the same time just to be certain. Look at that! Cruising along at maybe 30, maybe 40 miles an hour, no one knows. Feels like 20 if I'm honest, but oh. That, I cannot begin to describe the joy of getting a bike like this back out and on the road. I don't know if everyone gets the same thing, but for me it properly made my week, this will. A bike that, you know, was rotting. It was, unfortunately, Ron had kept this thing running his whole life and done a fantastic job of running these bikes. Because of his health, they were just getting left and deteriorating. To be able to get it back out and bring it to life and send him a video of it running, I hope it brings him as much happiness as it's bringing me right now, because I love seeing these things back out on the road. There's so much more involvement on one of these than any modern bike. It's a different thing. It's not the same buzz as riding a Panigale, not in a million years, but actually a different buzz, because you have to think about everything you're doing. You're listening to the bike, you're listening, was that wine there before? Every ride you know you're going to be spending at least an hour tinkering with it afterwards. You know, you don't get to the cafe for free. It's you have to earn every single mile with this. On bikes like this, I'm going to have a bit more brake on which subject. I'm going to have a little bit more front brake, just for good measure. It is an absolute treat, and to hear it sat idling like that, I'm happy about that. I'm very happy about that. One of the most enjoyable things about doing this has been the constant stream of friends and other people looking over my shoulder, or people commenting and, ah, did you know that? Or by the way, because I had to learn lots just to get it running, and now keeping it riding, I'm learning the foibles of the bike. You know, the way I thought the choke lever worked, it doesn't, it works the other way. Little figuring out where the ignition switch was, that took us ages. And now I've got a bike that we can ride. I have to remember which way the gear shift goes every single time. I'm sure I'll get used to it eventually. But what a fantastic thing to get this thing out and riding in the sunshine, ready for a new lease of life. I'm gutted Dad had to leave before we finished it, but I'm really looking forward to him coming around and going for a spin, seeing as he helped get it running. And then a little bit of a bigger service and spruce up, fresh oil, and then hopefully a nice summer of rides to the cafe / pub. Toasted by the Supermoto. They are about as far removed from modern sports bikes as possible to get, but do you know what? It's nice to know where we all came from. It's nice to gain a bit more appreciation for just how good modern bikes are and just how far we've come in under a lifetime, realistically. It's half a lifetime from this to modern bikes. And these are, it's twofold. One, for me, it surprises me how good these things are, how well the engines run, how smooth they purr, how well they function as a motorcycle. But then to compare this to like a brand new bike, even a mid-range brand new bike, it is amazing the changes we've seen. But the bike from the Cafe Racer era is coming back to the cafe, and that was worth all the effort and greasy hands and petrol-y kneecaps. That bike here outside this cafe is something that brings me a lot of joy. Probably one of my favourite things that's happened this year. Ron, who had this bike before, was known as a bit of a local legend. The more time we spent there getting bikes out and speaking to the people who organised it for us, the more stories came out, and I think he was a bit of a tearaway and a bit of like a bike hero locally. The paperwork, the documentation, the effort, the parts, the spares that have gone into keeping this thing running over the years, amazing, astounding, and it's kind of intimidating to take that on and try and do it to the same standard. What I'm really pleased we've achieved is we've saved it from rotting away in that garage, and we've got it back working and running. That was what we wanted to achieve. We wanted this bike back out in the wild and working, and I'm hoping that gives Ron a happy feeling when he sees that this bike is back out and being ridden again. The story doesn't end for it here. As we mentioned at the beginning, my dad, who had no interest in old bikes really, he likes Japanese stuff, that's what he had from a kid, and he was always of the don't bother with old British bikes ilk. He's kind of come round over the sort of last year or so. The more I've talked about these bikes and we've ridden the stuff up at the bike specialist, it's kind of triggered something in him, and he's got this excitement now for proper classics. So when I started working on this again, he sort of quietly said to me, well, what's the plan long term? What are you going to do with it? And I said, I don't know, I want to get it running, and then I'm not sure. He asked if he could buy it, so we got in touch with the guys who sort of brokered the deal for us, agreed a price, and so Dad has bought that. That is now Papa Northover. So I'm stoked because it means there's now a BSA Golden Flash in the Northover menagerie of bikes. The story's just beginning really, because Dad's now got plans for this bike to get it to a few shows. He doesn't want a fully restored immaculate bike. He wants to keep something running, keep something riding, and a usable oily rag bike, which is kind of, I think, how Ron's kept it for the last few decades. So we're going to carry that story on with my father now, and yeah, this bike's going to see a lot more riding this summer, which I am absolutely stoked about. Now, we haven't forgotten the other two bikes, the Aerial and the B40 military bike. We've got plans for them. The Aerial's a bigger job. We've had to source pistons, we've had to source parts, so we will give you an update once that's up and running. And we've got a real special story with the B40. So this isn't the end of the old bike stuff, but for now, the story of the barn find, garage rescue of the BSA Golden Flash is complete. And yeah, what a way to send it off. A sunny day, I'm gonna go and put some miles in, and that's put a huge smile on my face. Rocket Ron, the Beezer, is back in action.